We're back with another historical romance author's guide. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now I'm back with another historical romance author guide. This one is a new to me author, which I find kind of funny because I own a lot of her books actually on my shelves. I should be reading her books, but instead I collect her books, mostly because 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I read one review where our reviewer said that Megan Frampton's books were super funny. Now, if you guys didn't know, I love funny books, especially if you add comedy to historical romance. Two of my favorite things, putting them together means that I have an auto-buy author. And I haven't tried any of Megan Frampton's books until this month of February, and now I know that I should probably read books before I collect them. So overall, the series that I'm about to review is a Duke's Daughters series, and this one follows the storyline of a Duke having 5 daughters, and they're all picture perfect. They all lived a great life, but what happens is one of the daughters actually runs away and marries someone that they actually love and enjoy. So then afterwards, the whole family's reputation is tarnished. So these 4 daughters in these 4 books are going to go find noble love and to really rebuild the reputations that their sister kind of tarnished. So this is the series that I'm going to be talking about, and overall I did not really enjoy this series. Most of these books were 2 out of 5 stars or 3 out of 5 stars. I only had one that was 5 out of 5 stars, but let's get started in diving deeper into these books. So the first book in the series is called Lady Be Bad, and this one follows our main heroine, who is named Eleanor. Eleanor is our oldest sister in the bunch. She's definitely raised to be the head of the household, and she wants to take care of her sisters, so she'll sacrifice her life basically to marry someone that is noble and to really fix up the reputation of the family, even though she's not in love with her fiance, and her fiance is kind of not right for her. But what happens is that she goes into a bookstore, she reaches for a book, and she topples over and falls on top of this man, and this man just so happens to be her fiance's younger brother. Now this is kind of like a forbidden romance between these two characters because they obviously aren't supposed to be liking each other, but they do, and they have their own problems with dealing with what they actually want in life. And our main hero is kind of in a sticky situation because he knows that he doesn't want to take something away from his older brother. So this is kind of their love story. Now, from the reviewer who basically said that all her books were really funny, I did not find them funny at all. So that's why it sucked me dry, and I had to take some stars off because it was misleading and it wasn't what I wanted. I didn't have any chemistry, but what I did have was hot sex scenes. So if you guys are into like really hot scenes in your historical romance, definitely pick out Megan Frampton's books. I think she does a really great job at writing those scenes, but other than that, it's just like the plot line, everything fell flat. So the next book in the series is called Lady Be Reckless, and my copy of this book is kind of messed up. As you can see, the Duke's Daughters is very big and it looks like it's the title of the book, but it's actually not. It's the series name, and then at the bottom, Lady Be Reckless is the title, but it looks like it's the series name. Maybe this book will be worth a lot in the future, maybe it'll be worth nothing. So this book follows the plotline of our next sister, who is named Olivia, and Olivia is disappointed that her oldest sister Eleanor has discarded this wonderful person and that could save the reputation of the family. So she takes it upon herself to really get into that fiance or that discarded fiance's attention. But what happens is that fiance kind of just like makes it very earlier on known that he doesn't want anything apart with her. So she devises a plan to gain his attraction by really helping his best friend finding a wife. So she thinks that if she does this good deed, then he would eventually fall in love with her. But anyways, what she least expected to happen was actually fall in love with the fiance's best friend. And our hero, who is the best friend, has to fulfill a dying wish from his father. And what happens is that he comes from a story of him being a bastard. His mom had a relationship with his father, but then they weren't married, and then afterwards he couldn't marry her, so then afterwards he was born a bastard. But however, the father is very loving and very caring and took him in and raised him even though he was known to be a bastard. And then he has a kind of like a really sad story because the rest of his family doesn't accept him, but he loves his father so much that he's willing to be there for him in his last final days. So this one, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I was kind of disappointed with the first book, so I bumped this one from like a 4 stars to a 5 stars simply because I really liked how the dynamic between these two characters, they were very funny and they were very flirty with each other. This one was definitely a friends to lovers romance, which I hardly kind of see in historical romance, so definitely give this one a try. So the third book in the series is actually called The Lady is Daring, and this follows our character named Ida, and Ida really wants to go find this sister who ran away and married someone for love instead of marrying someone of her standard in her class, that ultimately destroyed the family's reputation. Ida may look really bookish and really smart, but she's actually very opinionated and she really likes adventures. So she decides to steal a carriage and kind of go off into like the grand adventure in the land to go find the sister. But what she least expects is that our hero to be in the carriage too. And then now our hero kind of has a hero complex within him that he wants to protect this beautiful girl. So they set off to go on this adventure together across this land to go find what she actually wants to find. What happens is that they're forced in a lot of close proximity situations. There's a road trip romance involved, and there's a lot of things happening. What I did find was that there was, once again, a lack of chemistry. I didn't feel like that these two characters were meant for each other. I didn't feel like that these two characters were, you know, liking each other for all that most, but it was hot and it was steamy and I appreciated it. There were some really cute scenes in this book towards the end, so that's why I didn't give it a 2 out of 5 stars and I gave this one a very average 3 out of 5 stars. So basically, after the disaster and like the lackluster feelings I had towards Megan Frampton from the first 3 books I read, I was really dragging my feet to finish this series. This one's called Never a Bride, and this is the last book in the series. This one actually follows the daughter that I was talking about, who ran away with a dance instructor and then ruined the reputation of the whole family. By the time that she ran away and she gave herself up and she grew pregnant, the family already abandoned her and didn't want to be any part of her life anymore. But now she is a mother and she is single and she is not going to be like a bride for anybody. What happens is that she works for like a bar or a tavern, I think, and then she sets out there and she works for a living, and that's where she meets our hero, who is a captain of this Navy ship. And then afterwards, our captain and our main hero is actually the heir to a dukedom. Now, what I have to tell about this book is that this one is kind of like a DNF for me. It was a kind of a skim read. I just wanted to finish the series and I didn't care about this book at all. So my rating could be severely biased, but I also feel like that if within the first 30% of the book and it still doesn't, you know, get my attention, then I feel like that this one is just a dud. So this one, I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. Now, would I recommend you to read this series? And I think it's quite glaringly obvious that I probably wouldn't recommend you to read this series. It's not a series that I would definitely pick up again, reread it, give it another try. It definitely discouraged me from reading any other Megan Frampton books, which is always disappointing to read. But if I were to pick out a book that you would have to read or to give Megan Frampton a try, it would be this one, which is Lady Be Reckless, which is clearly obvious too because I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars to a 5 out of 5 stars. Now, was I just delusional and I just thought that this book was better than the rest because everything was bad and I just wanted to give it a higher rating? Possibly. Will you probably hate this book too? Maybe. But if you guys really liked these books and you read some of her books before, maybe you'll also like this one, truthfully. But anyways, that is it for this video and hopefully it was helpful for you guys. Until next time, I'll see you guys again. Bye.